Hey everyone. So, one of my 100% top requested videos lately has been for my birth plan. So, here is my birth plan. I've typed it all out, and if you would like to see a written copy of it, there is a copy of it that I'll post on my blog, and there's also a copy of it in the notes section of my Facebook fan page. So if you wanted to use it as a template, like to adapt it a little bit to yourself, that's fine. I used a template, like kind of like an example one that I found on I think it was Baby Center, and it was really helpful. So as far as attendance go for the birth, Steve will be present during labor and he will be present at the birth. As far as any other family members, as far as Eva, no one will be there, just the two of us. And some of my requests, like during my labor and delivery, would be that I would like to be able to have the lights dimmed while I'm in labor and as much as possible during the birth. I've seen in a lot of videos they have like bright lights pointing on the woman when she's giving birth or when she's in labor, and that wasn't my experience the first time, and I would like to keep it that way for this time. One of my requests also is that I would like to, of course, take pictures, film during the birth, and my labor, and of course after birth as well, which again was not an issue with my last pregnancy, so again I don't anticipate it will be this time. As far as like hospital admission and procedures, once I am admitted, which the hospital that we're going to is called Lionsgate Hospital, North Van, and it's about 5 minutes from where we live, 5-10 minutes from where we live. And they they set up this thing where you go in and you get a hospital tour, and then they give you a piece of paper to fill out ahead of time. So you're basically already admitted. As soon as you go into labor, you go there and all the paperwork's already filled out, so you can just go in and have your baby. There's no need to sign anything. You sign any paperwork ahead of time. So there's just no problems, and I think that that's a really great way of doing it. But once I am admitted, I would like Steve to be allowed to stay with me at all times, which he was last time. Only my practitioner, nurse, and Steve to be present during the birth, during my labor, and after birth as well. And that basically means that I would prefer not to have any residents, medical students, or other hospital personnel. The reason for that, and I know I'm probably going to get a few people comment about that, is that when I was pregnant with Eva and when I was in labor, and I had lots of students come in on my appointments with my OB because they had lots of different residents there, and then I had a resident that was there and a student that was present when I gave birth to Eva. I had students and residents come in when I was in labor and were asking me questions. And I was totally fine with doing it that time, but this time around I feel like I've already kind of done my part, and I would like to have an experience with not having to do that. I would like to be able to eat if I wish, of course, after the birth, which was fine last time, so I'm sure it will be this time. They brought me food, and I can't remember what it was, but I was like craving something right after I had Eva, and my doctor went out and bought it for me and brought it back, so that was nice. I would like to be able to walk and move around as I choose, which again, it's pretty much like the maternity level. There's one entire level just set out strictly for maternity purposes. So you can walk around and do whatever you want in there and they don't mind. And there's nurses like everywhere you go. So if there was ever an issue, there would be a nurse close by. As far as interventions go, as long as the baby and I are doing fine, I would like to have intermittent rather than continuous electronic fetal monitoring, which at the hospital that I'm going to, they don't do continuous electronic fetal monitoring, I don't think. I was monitored, I think when I first went into labor, like active labor, I was monitored for about 15-20 minutes. And then maybe 5 minutes again, and that was it. So there wasn't a lot of monitoring. They came and they used like a fetal Doppler on me, and that was about it. Like, I don't know if you guys have heard of this like baby friendly hospital thing, but I would consider the hospital that I gave birth in the first time, which is the same one this time, is definitely a baby friendly hospital. I would like to be allowed to progress free of stringent time limits and have labor augmented only if necessary, which again, they will not augment your labor, only if, like, basically what their whole policy is, especially with my OB, is that they want to do everything they can to avoid you having a C-section. So unless mom is in danger or baby is in danger, they're pretty much going to allow your body to do its thing. As far as pain relief goes, I said I don't want any thing in my IV. Like, I remember, I think it was Demerol with Eva, and I do not want that again. So I'm going to have an epidural. I had an epidural with Eva, and I'm planning to have an epidural this time as well. I'm a total baby. I'm not good with pain. So I know I'm going to have it, so they can give it to me as soon as they can. So that's just the way that's going to go. As far as pushing goes, when it's time to push, I would like to do so instinctively, which they asked me when I was in labor. Are you ready to push? Or would you like to push? Let us know when you're going to push. Those kind of things. So they were pretty good. I said I would like to be pushed on when to push and for how long, only if needed. So if they feel that I'm not pushing well enough, then I would like them to let me know, of course, and to tell me, kind of guide me in the right direction. When I was pushing for Eva, because I had a very low dose epidural, and that's what I would like this time as well. So basically all I want is it to take away any serious discomfort, but still allow me to feel the contractions and feel all the pressure, so I do know when to push. And that's exactly how my epidural was last time. I would like to be able to progress free of stringent time limits as long as baby and I are doing fine, which I kind of mentioned earlier. As far as positions for pushing, like the semi-reclining position was some of how I did with Eva, and then, but majority of actually when I was pushing, I was on my side, and that worked well for me. I didn't tear, I didn't need an episiotomy, I didn't need any of that. So if that works this time, that's great. But basically whatever they suggest to me at the time and what feels right for me and feels right for them, then that's what I will do. Okay, so assuming that I have a vaginal birth, during delivery I would like to touch the baby's head as it's crowning. I don't remember if I did that with Eva or not. I think I did, but I don't honestly remember. There's so much going on at that moment, and there's so much excitement and anticipation that I don't 100% remember if I did. And I don't know if I will want to at that time. I have no idea, but if I would like to do that, then I would like to, of course, be able to do that. The room to be as quiet as possible, which it was last time, so I'm sure it will be again. Steve to have the option to help catch the baby as the baby comes out, which he did last time as well. After birth, I would like to hold my baby right away, putting off any procedures that aren't urgent, which, well, 100% they did. As soon as Eva was born, basically the nurse flipped off took off my hospital gown, and you know how we had skin to skin within probably 2 minutes after she was born. And they rubbed her and like wiped her all off while she was on top of me and wiped me off at the same time. And then they cut her umbilical cord. And then right then, I think all they did was weigh her and measure her, put a hat on her, and then they brought her back over to me, put a diaper on her, brought her back over to me, and then I immediately breastfed. So again, to breastfeed as soon as possible within the first hour. They do not give you formula at that hospital. As far as they're concerned, you're breastfeeding whether you like it or not. When you go home, should you choose to switch, that's your option, but this is the way that it basically is in that hospital. To wait, this time I would like to wait until the umbilical cord stops pulsating before it's clamped or cut, which I have mentioned it to my doctor, and my doctor said that that is absolutely fine. So I would like to do that, the delaying of the cord cutting. And I would like, of course, Steve to be able to cut the umbilical cord should he wish, and yes, Steve would like to do that, which he did with Eva. As far as having a C-section goes, I don't anticipate having one, but if I have one, so if I have a C-section, I would like Steve, of course, to be present during the operation. Also to be present while they prepare me for the operation, which it is possible at the hospital where I'll be delivering. The screen to be lowered a bit so I can see the baby being delivered, and of course that's, I'm pretty sure, is fine. The baby to be given to Steve as soon as the baby's dried off, and for him to have immediate skin-to-skin contact with her. And that I know is 100% fine because I saw somebody doing that in the hospital. And then of course to breastfeed the baby in the recovery room as soon as possible. And then, okay, as far as postpartum goes, after delivery, I'd like all newborn procedures to take place in my presence, which they were the first time. Steve to stay with the baby at all times if I can't be there. And there was never a circumstance or situation where we weren't able to be there or I wasn't able to be there. To stay in a private or semi-private room. I was in a ward last time because we weren't sure whether or not our insurance covered it or not, but we know that yes, it does cover it for us to be in a private or semi-private room. So whatever is available of those two options, we would like to have. I'm totally okay with semi-private, but I would at least like semi-private and prefer not to be in a ward because I think there was about 5 or 6 women in the ward I was in and it was very noisy. I would like a cot to be provided for Steve, and that's fine. They provided that last time with lots of blankets, endless amounts of pillows and warm blankets and anything that we wanted. I would like 24-hour rooming in with my baby, which they do. Once you have your baby stays with you unless there's a problem with you or there's a problem with your baby. So that I know will be fulfilled. Okay, so as far as feeding issue goes, I plan to breastfeed exclusively like I did plan to with Eva. Unfortunately, after a little while I wasn't able to, and I did have to supplement with formula because I just didn't have enough, and I tried and tried and tried to build up my supply, but I wasn't able to exclusively breastfeed her. But about 80 to 90% of what we fed her was breast milk. So maybe she had 4 or 5 ounces a day of formula. So it wasn't very much. I do not want them to offer my baby formula, and they won't do that anyway. Plus, when I was in the hospital, I was only in the hospital for 24 hours, and then I was sent home. Which is kind of basically, they said to me, how do you feel? Do you want to stay? Do you want to go? Of course, I would rather go. Steve's mom was staying us at the time. Steve's mom has been a nurse. And I felt pretty comfortable with the whole situation, so I wanted to go. Within 24 hours, there's lots of women who don't have their milk come in. My milk hadn't come in yet, but of course, as soon as it did, it definitely came in, which I anticipate that will happen again. As far as my discharge goes, I would like to be discharged from the hospital with my baby as soon as possible, of course, depending on how I'm feeling at the time. So I will be giving this to my doctor. We've already basically gone over most of this stuff in my appointments and everything is fine, but I'll be making sure. And one other thing I would like to make sure about and ask more details about with the doctor is whether or not I can take my placenta, because I am interested in doing this, capsulizing my placenta. Like last time they asked me what they wanted me to, what I wanted them to do with my placenta, and I hadn't really thought about it that much. So I said to them, like, what were my options? My options were to donate it for research, to donate it for all different kinds of purposes. So anyway, I ended up donating that, and I donated all of the cord blood and the stem cells as well. So that's it for my birth plan. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below, of course. And yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching.